Hi friends, in yesterday's session we have discussed what is an MVC. We have seen what is model and what is controller and what is a view. What I have showed you I have showed you the example with a view and a controller, how the view works and how the controller works, how the controller is going and interacting with the view and generating the data in the user interface. Today we'll quickly recall about whatever we have discussed in the previous sessions. We have discussed what is MVC. If you observe this architecture, user comes and makes a request here through the base of the URL. He'll come and makes a request to the URL request directly hits the controller, and this controller, the action methods will be there. These action methods, what it will do, it will go to the model, and this model communicates with the database again. It might be any database, I told you, SQL Server or else MS SQL, Oracle, any type of database like that. So it communicates with the database. What does model do? It communicates with the database and gives back the data to the view again, so that it displays the view. For example, I told you, if this is your user interface where you have some employee ID like that, EMP ID like that, if you want to update this from 1 to 2, if one, for example, assume it, you have a record 1 here, you made it 2, this is a employee name, ename, like if it was some Karthik, you make it is Sai and click on update button. When you click on update button, what happens? The data has to be stored in the model again from the view. This data is being generated from the view again. So what does view does? It again takes the data to the model back. It's a two-way communication, that's why. So if the user clicks on the update button again, what happens? The data goes back to the model again and it stores in the database again. It stores in the relevant database. It might be SQL Server database. If it is SQL Server, it stores in SQL Server. Like that, it stores in the database, and again what model does? It gives a data copy to the controller. It gives back the data copy to the controller. Controller, what it does? Again it renders the view. It has been renders the view. So it renders the view and displays it in user. Here our user interface is. The front end application, whatever we design, is called as a view. Here the data will be displayed. So this will be the flow. First, what does user does? He will just come and request his application with the help of like this, like it will be like this 192.168. Some IP address, like assume like 100.101 something, and backslash is project name. His project name, assume it as CLS employee is his project name. Employees is his project name, and just this will be the URL. With the help of this URL, the user makes a request to the controller. In the controller, we have written some action methods. Controller is nothing but the it contains all the .cs files. So we have seen in yesterday's program, we have written all the code in the controller itself. .cs files are all written in the controller itself. User comes and makes a request to the controller with the help of this URL. The URL will be like this. In the real time, the URL will be like this actually. It will be the IP address / the project name. Just the project name. In ASP.NET means everything will come, like a web page name also will come here. Like it might be like this. In ASP.NET, CLS employees is the project name, and his web form name. His web form name, assume it as some default .aspx is his web form. This is the complete URL in ASP.NET, but this will be the URL in MVC. This is the URL in MVC. It just contains the IP address and it contains the project name. This is called as project name. This part is called as project name. This is the URL, complete URL of MVC project, of MVC application. So with the help of this URL, what does user does? He makes a request to the controller. The action first goes to the controller. I told you action goes first to the controller, and it hits the methods. It invokes the methods. Whatever the methods are there, it gets invoked here, and that methods goes to the model. From here it goes to the model, and this is also a two-way communication, and it goes to the model, and what this model does? it collects the relevant information from the database and gives the information to the view. So the information is displayed here. For example, a find button is there. User just types 2 and click on find. His employee name also should be displayed here like this. User just comes and clicks on find. From where it comes? From user interface. In user interface, the data should be displayed. How does it display? The model interacts with the database, gets the data, and gives back to the view. Like this, the flow goes. So, what does the user does? He makes a request to the controller. In the controller, the methods will be there, which invokes this model. This model gets the data from the SQL Server database. So the SQL Server database, from the SQL Server database, the data is given back to the view. For example, if user types 2 here and click on find, assume it is not there, this record, he clicks on find. User comes and clicks on find. From where does the data comes? From the model. In the view, if user just clicks 2 here and clicks on find, he should get the remaining records. Here Sai will come. From where it is coming? And a table is there in SQL Server here. Like this, employee with 2 columns, employee ID and employee name. 2 columns are there here. One is, there are 2 records, assume 2 records. This is Sai, this is Karthik, like that. 2 records are there here. This table, you are getting it from the database and displaying it back to the view. Again, if user wants to modify this record, he wants to just click modify this record like this and clicks on update button again. The data goes back to the model again and stores it into the database. Again, if user clicks on find button, from where does the data come? Again, the controller gets fired and it goes to the model, gets the data back and displays it to the view. So it renders the view, controller renders the view, or parsing is done here. Rendering is nothing but parsing. In ASP.NET MVC, we call it as rendering. Rendering means converting all the data to the HTML form and displaying back to the user interface. So once the user clicks on find again, the same record should be displayed here. Where is the data coming from? From the model. This was the hierarchy of MVC, which I explained yesterday. And we have seen several versions of MVC. What was those versions? MVC 1.0 introduced MVC 1.0 to 5.0 we are having. The latest version is 5.0, introduced in the year 2015. This was introduced in the year 2009. So 2.0 again in 2010. 3.0. 4.5 is coming along with the version. Sorry, this is 2013, introduced in the year 2015. It is 2013 actually, came in 2012. MVC 4.0 this is. So these are the versions of MVC. Different versions. There are up to 1 to 5 versions introduced in these years. Who has introduced the first MVC version? Mr. Scott Guthrie. He has introduced the MVC along with .NET framework. So why has been MVC introduced? We discussed in previous sessions why MVC was introduced. MVC is used to develop highly scalable and testable applications. Any software application should be highly scalable and testable. What do you mean by testable? Testable means any module we develop, it should be easily testable. Then only it will be called as a highly sophisticated application. So MVC provides you the options. So these were the advantages of MVC. You can call it as advantages of MVC. Actually, develops highly scalable applications. MVC develops highly scalable applications. Scalable means nothing but durable applications which can be fit with any environment. Like you can develop mobile applications, you can develop web applications, any type of applications. And also they are applications designed with MVC template. ASP.NET MVC template provides highly testable applications. Testable means we can test any module. We can test any module that we develop. That is the advantage. We can give a copy to the testers and make our application test, or else you can develop a Visual Studio unit test along with this. You are also having a Visual Studio unit test for developers. Developers alone can develop the developers can alone develop the application and test the application by using this feature, highly testable applications. Yesterday I showed you how to develop a test project along with our main project. You got a dummy project, you got a check option like a test the project, like that you will be getting. I have unchecked the text box. I have showed you yesterday. In the next session videos also I will show you how to develop a testable applications. And why MVC has become this much popular? It is mainly a 3-layered architecture. I told you it is a mainly 3-layered architecture developed. So nowadays any application you develop in this modern era, it should be divided into 3 layers. One is business layer. That is business layer deals all with. One is business layer. Second one is logic layer. And your presentation layer. Business layer is nothing but the model in MVC. Model means it interacts with the database and gets all the data. Interacts with the database and gets all the data. This is the main advantage of MVC. Interacts with the database and gets all the data. Logic layer means where you will write the code. Controller, where .cs files are written. And presentation layer. Presentation layer means the layer where you can present your user interface. You can display a view to the user. So this is nothing but our user interface or a view. We call it as a view in MVC. We can design a view to show our data. So MVC has become this much popular because of these 3 reasons, these concerns only. What are those concerns? It has been divided into 3-layered architecture. One is business layer, another is logic layer, and another is presentation layer. Any modern application should be divided into these 3 layers. MVC is itself a 3-layered architecture by providing all these options like model, controller, and view. So this has been the main reason why MVC has become that much popular. And mobile applications can also be developed by using this MVC, by using a mobile template. I showed you in yesterday's program how to select a mobile template. There was a mobile template along with the internet and basic applications. And why MVC? Many people think that MVC is an alternative for ASP.NET, is a replacement for ASP.NET. It is not a replacement for ASP.NET. It is just an alternative for ASP.NET, providing it has all the features in it of ASP.NET in it. What are the features having by MVC? Features means it is having master pages. Yesterday I told you master pages. Master pages means any change made to this master page will be reflected to all the web forms, that is to the child pages you develop by in ASP.NET. That is called as master pages. It is also called as layout concept, layout page, layout concept or else layout page in MVC. You are having layout page in MVC. It is similar to master pages. And second is security. Applications designed by using MVC are highly securable. Why means in URL, I told you just now, I have showed you the URL 192.168.1.some 100 like that / your project name. You will be having just the project name. Where is the You will be having just the project name here, project name and the IP address. If the hacker hacks this URL also, what does he do with taking this project name? He can't find from where the answer is coming, from where the web page request is coming from. But whereas in ASP.NET, how it will be, your web page name also will be displayed. This is the project name, and your web form. Let us assume there is a page called as default.aspx and response is coming from there. So in MVC, only you will be having the complete URL is this only. You will be having only this URL. But in the ASP.NET, you will be having a web form also here. That is default.aspx or any page or any web form. You will be having this form. So the URL requests are directly mapped here. Whereas in MVC, URL requests are, I told you in MVC, URL requests are mapped to the controller, then to the action methods. But here in web forms, in ASP.NET web forms, it is directly mapped to the web form here. URL requests are directly mapped to the web form. So hacker can easily find out the page where it is coming from and he can hack the page. That is where we are providing the security to the MVC applications. And we also follow all the authentication and authorization methods, whatever we follow, whichever the methods we follow in ASP.NET, all these methods we follow by using this security in MVC. So this is master pages and security pages, and role-based authentications also we used. What are role-based authentications? MVC also follows this role-based authentications. What are role-based authentications? What are the authentication methods? In ASP.NET, what are the authentication methods you follow? Windows, passport, and forms authentication. You might have developed it by while you are developing web forms in in web applications. So MVC also follows these authentications. Windows for intranet applications, forms and passport for web applications. I told you yesterday you can develop also Windows applications. Windows are nothing but the intranet application, the LAN applications which you developed. That is the intranet applications. And forms and passport authentications also can be performed by using MVC. Validations means validations are data annotations. Validations are in ASP.NET. We can call it as data annotations in MVC. We will see how to work with these data annotations also in next classes. And data annotations, these are called as data annotations. So these are all the features, not only these features, whatever the features ASP.NET is following, all the features MVC also will follow. So it is not considered as a replacement for ASP.NET. It is just considered as a alternative for ASP.NET for developing the web forms. Okay. And why MVC has become this much popular nowadays?